We'll now move on to factoring trinomials that have the leading coefficient of a equals. So our goal for this is to be able to factor a quadratic where the leading coefficient is 1. So first off, what type of trinomial are we looking at? We're not looking at just any quadratic. We're looking at a very specific one. It's of the form x squared plus bx plus a. The thing that's special about this is that the coefficient in front of x squared is 1. Our goal is going to be to rewrite this as x plus a number times x plus another number. And of course, those numbers could be negative, so it could look like x minus and x minus or any combination of those. What we're going to be thinking throughout this is I'm going to be thinking what two numbers multiply to be c and add up to be b. So that's how we're going to figure out these two numbers. So what two numbers multiply to be c and add up to be b? So for example, we have x squared plus 2x minus 24. So what I'm thinking to myself is what two numbers multiply to be negative 24 but add up to be 2, a positive 2. And those two numbers, I believe, would be a positive 6 and a negative 4. So those two numbers add up to be 2, multiply to be negative 24. What I'm going to do with those two numbers is I'm going to rewrite this as x squared plus 6x minus 4x minus 24. All I've done is taken this 2x and I've rewritten it in terms of the two numbers that we found. From there, we're going to factor like we did in the previous video. So for x squared plus 6x, my greatest common factor is x. So I'll divide both pieces by x, which leaves me with x plus 6. For my next two terms, the greatest common factor is a minus 4, and it's going to be a minus 4 because this was a negative 4x. So I'll divide both of them by minus 4, which gives me x plus 6. I'll pull out my x plus 6 by dividing both of these by x plus 6, and that leaves me with x minus 4. So we factored this as x plus 6 times x minus 4. So let's try a couple more. In this one, I want to multiply two numbers to get 18, and I want to add up those same two numbers to get 9. Getting ahead of myself. So think for a second, what two numbers multiply to 18 add up to be 9? Kind of like a puzzle, but the two numbers that I thought of were 6 and 3. So I'll rewrite the problem as x squared plus 6x plus 3x plus 18. All I've done is I've rewritten the 9x in terms of the two numbers that we thought of. For my first two terms, I can factor out an x, so I'll divide both of them by an x when I rewrite it, and that gives me x plus 6. For my last two terms, looks like the greatest common factor is a 3, so I'll divide both by 3 and get x plus 6. And then I'll factor out that x plus 6, and it should be x plus 6 times x plus 3. So we've rewritten it as a product. That product is x plus 6 times x plus 3. Do two more here. I want two numbers that multiply to be negative 20, but add up to be negative 8. So yeah, think for a second on this one. Multiply to negative 20, add up to negative 8. Think negative 10 and positive 2. So I'll rewrite this as x squared minus 10x plus 2x minus 20. So use your two terms to rewrite it. From my first two terms, I should be able to factor out my greatest common factor of x, which should leave me with x minus 10. From my last two terms, the greatest common factor is 2. So when I factor out a 2 and divide everything by 2, I get x minus 10 again. Let's pull out that x minus 10, which remember means I'm dividing both of these by x minus 10. So I get x minus 10 times x plus 2. I'll do one more. If you want to stop and try this on your own and then compare to my answer, that would be great. So I need two numbers that multiply to be -6, but add up to be 5, positive 5. So to me, that sounds like +6 and -1. You could write -1, +6, that's fine. It doesn't matter the order, it's just that the 6 needs to be positive and the 1 needs to be negative. So I'll rewrite this. X squared plus 6x minus x minus 6. So that 5x got replaced. For my first two terms, I'll factor out the greatest common factor, which is an x, which leaves me with x plus 6. For my next two terms, I'm going to factor out a -1. So I'm factoring out a negative because I had a negative in front of x. And that should leave me with x plus 6 again. The x plus 6 repeated, so that's what I pull out next. And when I pull that out, I'm left with x minus 1. So I factored this as x plus 6 times x minus 1.